In your opinion, what's the scariest thing about dragons?
I think their arrogance.
No.
Like they're just so arrogant that they don't care and will do whatever they want. And there's no talking them out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say their majesty. They're just like, I don't know, so incredible. Like you just kind of would be put in awe to see one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I think we're all along the similar lines. I think mine is just knowing that you're just outmatched in every sense. The essential vulnerability that you would have. There's just for a regular person, there's no way you could ever defeat them. And if you see them, we get the same. Kyle, we get the same thing with bears. Every time I see a bear, I'm like, I hope this bear's in a good mood because that's all I'm relying on right now. And people will do the whole thing. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lie down. Shut up. If that bear wants to yeah. Same thing with this dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing you're outmatched at every level, I think.
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter how good the dragon is. If it's having a bad day, it will eat you. Like it doesn't care.
And you're still food. You're still food.
Welcome to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
Welcome back to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get. Today, we're continuing our discussion on Dragons in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm Pepperina, and with me today are Terry and Kyle. And this episode is called Evil Dragons, Beware the Cruel Nightmare Fuel.
What's this weird back shot you're doing here, Kyle?
I'm stretching. This is how I wake up. Getting the blood moving.
We got to do our pre-recording stretches.
Yeah. I've seen
calisthenics.
So I don't pull a muscle while we're talking about all this bullshit we're coming up with.
Messed up from sitting down all the time.
I wish that people could see that now all three of us are stretching.
Yeah. You should hear the pops that are coming out from this. Satisfying.
Guys, if you're feeling that discomfort in your back, it's not a tight back, it's a tight chest. Pulling your shoulders forwards. That's where you feel it. Got to strengthen your back and loosen your chest. Anyway, sorry, we're off topic. Right. Pepperina, you get it.
We didn't even get through the opening.
We're a multifunctional podcast. Yeah. Sometimes it's about dragons. Sometimes it's health tips.
It's very rarely health tips.
Nobody's listening to health tips. They're blaming the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it me?
No, I think it's Terry.
Oh, is it me? Sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry.
I did my thing. It's your turn.
Welcome to episode 298.
In this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, this panel of Dungeon Masters is going to visit the Underdark and Dragonlance to cover the last two dragons of 5th edition, and we've saved some nasty ones for last.
Before we get into it, I want to ask you, what's the most evil thing a dragon has done in your campaign?
Okay, now we got to roll for initiative. 17.
14.
10.
Okay, so I'm first. I haven't seen too many dragons in campaigns that don't just show up and be a dragon and then fuck off. We did have one kill a player where it picked him up and then flew 500 feet up and just dropped him. There was nothing. Okay. There was nothing that we could do.
That's every day for Terry.
Yeah.
It's an amazing tactic that I've mentioned twice and everybody else 14 times.
But that player actually wanted his character to die because he wanted to bring in a new character. So it was, I guess, not even that evil because it was on purpose. So
doing him a favor.
I do remember one of my first sessions, and we were level 1 or 2 and a green dragon dropped in front of us, and I shot at it and rolled a nat 20 and was so excited. And it's yeah, that dragon did not care that you're level 2 damage. Even with a nat 20, it was it didn't care.
No.
Oh yeah, me. Right. Okay, so
we're doing so good today, guys.
Yeah, killing it. Okay, full disclosure, I have never actually used a dragon in a campaign before. Mm-hmm. It's just never happened, but I am writing one right now that I'm hopefully going to do for this podcast later, where essentially what it does is it's taken over a city, and it now sticks people to a wall of spikes to drain them of their blood.
I like it.
Okay. For what purpose?
For gardens. It's basically used as a fertilizer.
Oh my god.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say just like blood magic, but
No, it's like the whole idea
Yeah.
is there's like a garden on top that it's used to feed the city to make it seem like it's a good dragon. But then underneath all the gardens, there's like a demon spawning pit. So it's like feeding both.
That's fucking nasty. Okay. Most evil thing. Yeah, I had my big red in my campaign rounded up a city full of wood elves, a woodland city full of wood elves, and like tied them all together like some sort of twisted braid, I guess, and then used them as a major part of the sacrifice to raise Tiamat. But it was pretty graphic. We did it, kept them alive for a long time. They don't need sleep, right? They can just trance, just got to give them some calories. They're fine, but kept them alive and pretty miserable for a long time. So wood elves in particular.
Okay, that's pretty gruesome.
Nice.
When you say braid, do you mean like braided the human bodies together, or
Yeah,
the
they were
elven
elves.
bodies together?
Kyle, I would never do this to humans. Okay, this
Okay.
okay, specifically, that did not happen to the humans. Okay,
All
nor
right.
did the humans stop it when they knew it was happening. It happened to the elves, but yes, they were all like twisted together.
interesting.
All right. Arc.
I just thought of another one. This because the other one was as a player. This one I DM'd. It wasn't 5e. It was Animal Adventures, which is basically 5e, but you play as cats and dogs. And I created a pink dragon wormling that had a cotton candy breath weapon and had gummy bear minions that would go and kidnap the cats and dogs of the land and bring them up to this floating island of candy and then would be murdered by
That got better with every word.
just kidnapping
where
and
that was
eating
going.
cats and dogs and boiling them alive with cotton candy bread.
Wow. Very
I guess
cute.
that would be it. It
Why
was,
do you
yeah.
have to boil it? Why do you have to boil them alive? Is that something to do with the meat? Surely that would make the meat worse, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Because you're filling it with adrenaline.
I mean, but it was with sugar, so it would just make them like a sugary
Maybe.
sweet. hmm
boiling stuff takes the flavor out of it anyway, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Focusing on the
gelatin
wrong
is
part.
made out of bones, right?
Right.
That's
right.
how he got the gummy bears.
Yeah.
I mean, fair one.
It's science.
Yeah, any of my games are like either super whimsical or like horrific Call of Cthulhu stuff. So that one was a little combination of both.
Yeah.
Easy.
Mhm. All right. Well, before we descend any further into evil, let's cut to an info break.
We have previously covered quite a bit in our discussion on Dragons in 5th edition. For all those episodes and more, you can follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and dozens of other podcast apps. And if you'd like to support us, you can donate through the website, check our store, or join our Patreon and get access to other episodes and series. If you'd like to pay for some ad space on It's a Mimic, or just shout out to a friend, please reach out to us through our email and website that are listed in the show notes below.
Hey, this is Adam with a quick reminder to check out our Patreon if you haven't already. All patrons do get access to the Patreon-only Discord, but the real gem, of course, is the additional bonus episodes that you'll get. For Copper Wormling tier patrons, there are all of the Campaign Builder episodes, including all of Tier 2 and Tier 3 of play, and of course we're launching into Tier 4 pretty quickly. There's also 7 bonus episodes that Dan and I had recorded way back in the day that never got an official edit or release, and they're a part of this conversation as well. For Bronze Young patrons, there are not just the Legend Lore episodes that go into the backlog of 5th edition, but there are also some episodes about other tabletop role-playing games and the Legend Lore online series, which breaks down all of the D&D Beyond and online material for 5th edition that has been released by Wizards of the Coast. And then, of course, you also get access to the Campaign Builder episodes. For Silver and Adult tier, you get access to all of that, but also bonus episodes that have been released as supplements to regular episodes or are just sidebar bonus rants, and the Homebrew series where I sit down and talk about how I handle different aspects of 5th edition in unique and interesting ways at my own table. There's also the Gold Ancient tier, which gives you access to all of that stuff, as well as input on topics in some future episodes, as well as a quarterly special episode featuring at least one host dedicated to answering any specific questions that you have about D&D, so it's kind of like a personal mailbag. And then, of course, is the metallic great worm, which you guys hear all of the time, where there's a Zoom call with at least one host that's going to be recorded and released as a bonus episode every handful of months. So for those of you who haven't checked out the Patreon or you're not quite sure if it's for you, I hope this breakdown helps a little bit, and I look forward to chatting with you guys at the very least in the comments on the public forum. Anyway, let's get back to the episode.
First, we're gonna get into the death dragons. And death dragon sounds pretty terrible, and it is. These creatures are the skeletal remains of a dragon that died in such a horrific way that its soul is tormented and consumed with a need for vengeance. The book does say specifically chromatic or metallic, but I think you could use any kind if you wanted to. I mean, can you imagine like a deep dragon turning into one of these? And just terrorizing the Underdark. They become I think a dragon turtle would also be a lot of fun as a death dragon. They become infused with the fires of the cataclysm that gives them a sort of purple glow throughout their new bodies and twists what their breath weapon once was into something darker. Their new breath weapon turns any corpse it touches into a zombie that burns with the same cataclysm flame and follows the dragon's will. Their favorite thing to do is to go on rampages and destroy any living thing in their path. The death dragons do keep a hold of some twisted version of who they were in life. The stronger the dragon was when it died, the more it is able to fight this new hate and maintain more of its past memories. There are two versions of this, the lesser death dragon and the greater. I am going to go over the lesser with its stats and that. As a lesser death dragon, they only remember flashes of their past. Sometimes these memories can be painful reminders of what they once had in life and are quickly snuffed out by hate and rage, driving the dragon to destroy whatever it was that gave them that memory. Looking at their stats, they are large undead and typically chaotic evil. They have a CR of 10, an AC of 15, and an average hit point pool of 199. They have a walking speed of 40 and a flying of 80. Strength is their highest stat with a +5, closely followed by Constitution with a +4. And then things start to really drop in their stats. Dex and Wisdom are both average with a +0, and Intelligence and Charisma both get a -3. So we go all the way from +5 to -3 in their stat blocks. Saving throws, they get a +4 to both Dex and Wisdom, and also a +4 to Perception and Stealth. They are resistant to piercing damage and immune to necrotic and poison damage, as well as the conditions of exhaustion and poison. They have blind sight of 30 feet and dark vision of 60 feet. And they understand Common and Draconic, but cannot speak. They have unusual nature, as most undead things do, so they don't need air, food, drink, or sleep. For actions, we get a multi-attack with 1 bite and 2 claws. For bite, they get a +9 to hit and a 10-foot reach that does 2d8 +5 piercing and 1d8 necrotic damage. The claw is a +9 to hit with a 5-foot reach and does 1d6 +5 slashing. If the target is medium or smaller, they are grappled. Until this grapple ends, the creature is restrained. The dragon gets 2 of these attacks and can grapple 1 creature with each. And last, we get the cataclysmic breath, which recharges on a 5 or 6. The dragon exhales a wave of ghostly purple flames in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in the area must make a dex save, taking 8d8 necrotic on a fail and half on a save. The creature dies if reduced to 0 hit points, so there's no death saves there, you're just dead. And medium or smaller humanoids killed by the breath weapon, as well as any corpse within the cone, become a zombie under the dragon's control. The zombies act on the dragon's initiative immediately after the dragon, and without any specific commands, they will just try to kill any non-undead creature they encounter.
Well, that's a fun breath.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I love the unique breath weapons that aren't just like an element, but do things.
That's right.
All right, so now we get some questions about the lesser death dragons, and then I believe Terry will be covering the greater ones after this.
Yeah.
All right, so let's roll to come up with some role-playing hooks on these.
13.
Me too.
I got a 9.
All right, we gotta roll off, Terry.
Okay. Oh, my fucking back is killing me in this chair.
You
18.
gotta do more stretches. 19.
More
You
chest.
didn't stretch enough at the top.
More chest
Yeah.
stretches. Yeah.
All right,
Folks at
so
home, if your back's
Huh?
hurting when you sit, I'm just a real side thing for the folks at home. If your back's hurting when you're sat in your chair, stop doing that weird thing where you're pulling your head down. You're not doing anything there. It's weird. You're doing the opposite. Go the other way. Okay. Perhaps
Pulling
bring
your
it back.
head down.
People will go, like this. And I'm like, your chest is
Oh.
tight, pulling your shoulders forward, and you're just ragging yourself further down. I'm here all week, you guys. Go on, Pepperina.
I think we role play these like they have some tightness in their chest, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Permanent mild discomfort. It'll make them irritable.
It'll make them so angry. Yeah.
That's why they came back. Just
That's
too
why
much
they
muscle
came
pain.
back. Yes.
Exactly.
I think if you are going to use one of these as a DM and you're going into the role playing, you're gonna have to think about who they were in life first, and come up with that, like what drove them in life, because that's going to be very similar to what drives them in death, but in a very twisted way. So, like, if they were a good dragon in life, they could still become this chaotic evil. And seeing the things that it used to strive for, that it used to try and protect, it would then try to destroy, I think, because it's got so much hate inside of it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to piggyback off that, Pepperina. I agree with the hate. I think when I see a lower intelligence like this, I think a lower sense of problem solving, probably less reasoning with this person, this creature, lower intelligence, lower charisma. Yeah, I feel like it would be similar to Pepperina, a more exaggerated version of what it was feeling in life. Kind of like when people get drunk and their previous emotion then exaggerates. I think they're going to be like this. They're going to be fueled with hate, but their lower intelligence here means you're not going to be able to reason with them. Which sometimes makes for more stressful encounters because the DCs are higher to get any type of change, and it will start off probably very aggressive. You'll be on the back foot of this role play encounter right away. That's what I'm feeling, Kyle.
Yeah, I think you guys are both right. I mean, yeah, depending on what kind of dragon it is really going to change how it's going to react, right? I always imagine it. I kind of imagine it like, when you get into a fight with someone and you try to tell them to calm down, and it just makes everything like 300 times worse.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be like.
You know what you're
dealing with
doing
one
when
of
you
these
say
things.
that, though. You know what
Yeah.
you're doing when you say it. You're not really trying to be the bigger person.
No, that's true.
Fucking hate that, to be honest.
Oh, being told to calm down? Oh, yeah, it's
Just
infuriating.
let me have my emotions.
Nobody has ever reacted well to being told to calm down.
Yeah.
Especially if you know the other person isn't known for being particularly calm, or like, it's like don't act like I've never met you before. Like, I know what you're doing.
It's your fault I'm like this in the first place.
All right, so exploration. I mean, like, I do feel like there would be some definite, like, environmental interactions here. It doesn't, like, say they have any regional effects or anything like that. But having that fire and like hatred inside of them, and then creating zombies that follow them that have that same hatred, like anywhere they're rolling into is going to just have this like darkness fall upon it before they even get there. Like, I feel like if they're anywhere close to a town, that whole town is just going to feel this like sense of anger before it even shows up, because it's, especially if it's following like a zombie army that is also filled with this flame. Like, the bigger that army is, like, the more it's going to affect the region around it.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Like the idea of contagious emotions, and it kind of spreads it around like a wave. I like that a lot.
Ooh, I do like that. Exploration tips. I mean, I would do something that's still quite on the nose, but it's just unexpected for the situation. So you could throw this into something like Strahd, where you know there's going to be undead and zombies around, but you don't expect it to be coming from a lesser death dragon. And you can play with There's the dead silver dragon in Strahd Argynvost. You can do something with that here. Now you have an excuse to have a death dragon. And then you can follow all of the exploration clues, which you would expect, but then it leads to the surprise of maybe not related to Strahd, but maybe related to the death dragon. So what I'm saying is you don't want it to be obvious what the creature is, but you can still use the zombies and the undeath to suggest it's something else, and then have a little bit of a twist at the end with this one.
Yeah, I think you guys both hit it pretty much on the nose. I like the idea of taking its whatever it was in life and using those regional effects, but kind of twisting them, right? So each dragon attracts like a certain kind of creature to its area, right? Like I'm totally blanking on every single creature that the dragon attracts.
I'm sorry, I'm blanking on every creature ever.
Well, I know, like with the gym dragons, it's specifically like what they eat. So sapphire ones will attract giant spiders to the area and things like that.
Pep, can we stop for a second? Because you do this and it throws me off. Can you say gym as in gymnasium?
Gymnasium?
Just say gym.
Gym.
Now say gem as in gemstone.
Gem.
That's not what happened.
It's
Kyle,
the same.
You
It's
know
the same word.
said gym dragon.
Gym.
I wasn't paying close enough attention.
You gotta listen to this.
Have you been holding that in through all of our
There
gym
are things that
dragons?
come up. There are things that come up. It's like you only have 3 vowels. It's you just gotta use them.
They're basically the same. Aren't they interchangeable?
Right. Anyway, I won't derail this whole podcast.
We're just gonna have an episode where Terry tells me what everything that I say is wrong and why.
Some things have changed the way.
'Cause
Now
I know-
I'm on the new team.
I know he's making notes.
Yeah, well, he's apparently making notes about muscle stretches as well. So
Guys, stretch your chest.
yeah. So taking those creatures and then turning those into zombies. I think the emerald one attracts like giant lizards and stuff. So maybe you would just have like a bunch of giant lizard zombies around, right? Or if I know for the gem ones as well, they also start magically creating gems in the area. Like there'll be like large deposits of emeralds if there's an emerald dragon around. So having that, but all the gems are like cracked and there's like a darkness to them. So just trying to play with the flavors that are already there, but making it, I don't know, giving it a more death kind of feel.
Mm-hmm. Like everything's just a little bit rotted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's what else you got for us here.
Next up is combat. I mean, I definitely think you have to go with the breath weapon that turns corpses into zombies.
Mhm.
I think this would be great to drop on your party after they have fought a war and there is just a battlefield of corpses around them. And then this thing just creates all of these zombies out of those corpses that they just killed.
Just give them a reason to get in amongst the corpses. They got to find something or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Like
love
they
it.
think they won this
Evil.
war and then this shows
Mhm.
up and they have
I
to
love
fight
it.
it again.
Surprise! Now it's an undead campaign.
Yeah.
Exactly. They brought all the wrong shit with them.
Yeah.
My table hates that because they're always on top of, like, as soon as you say red in any context, they're like, oh, potions of fire resistance, and they always like try and get ahead of it. And I love twisting it on them like this.
All right. What about you, Terry?
What was the question?
Combat.
Combat. Oh yeah. So this is I've got the greater one after. I'll go into more detail. But so here's what I'm thinking. This is how I justify it. Lower intelligence, lower charisma, right? So I'm justified in just going full hog and concentrating on one particular creature because I know that I would try and take that person out. So I think open right away with the cataclysmic breath. You've got to, because that's the thing that you want to show off, right? It's a movie for your players. Let them feel that right away. And then this one is tough. Here's what I don't like about this when I think about combat is the movement sucks. Only a flying speed and a walking speed. That's so basic. Now it's difficult to use your breath weapon. If you have a burrow speed or swim speed or something, you've got stuff to work with. So I don't like the limitations in movement, which means that lower intelligence as well means you can't get too tactical with it. Because the creature would. This sounds so boring, but it's like you just got to go in with the breath weapon, then just go on one person, and then just try and action economy, take one person out, then the next person, because you don't have any justification to do anything more strategic than that or more tactical because of the lower intelligence, and you don't have the movement speeds to do anything more creative than that. So it's just going to be trying to maintain some distance and then putting all of that hate into one character at a time.
Yeah. Would you give it other movement speeds based on what dragon it was in life?
Yeah, probably. Actually, I probably would do that. I would want to make this more creative. Yeah, I probably would give it stuff from what the dragon that it was in life, for sure, because you got to make it more interesting. Otherwise, you're just limited here with a lower intelligence and then no speeds, and then you're just trying to pop that breath weapon off. It's not very creative. So I'd lean into what it had in life, and I think I would give it some spells as well, some necromancy spells.
Yeah. I mean, it just screams mindless rage to me. So
Yeah.
there's no sense of self-preservation. It is just, if it gets dealt a high amount of damage, it's going to go for that creature. I like how it specifies that you can grapple 2 creatures, so fly up and drop them, or just like pick up 2 people and like slam them together.
Why have we never done that before? The slamming 2 people together, I like. Then you're hurting them both on each of your turns.
Yeah.
There's the last episode I did, we covered Odiugs. And that's like a specific one of their abilities, is that they can grapple 2 creatures and then you can like slam them against stuff. So like either a wall, or you can grapple 2 creatures and.
I love this.
I mean, even if you like fly up a little and then land with them underneath your claws onto the ground.
We're fans, Kyle. If there's anything Pepperina and me like, it's slamming 2 people together.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Or more. Anyways.
Yeah.
Pep, you got to make it. It doesn't. Okay, sure. We don't need to tell the whole world everything all of the time.
I'm just saying, the more the merrier.
I started.
Your greater dragon.
Wait, were you asking me something?
That was it. No, you're next.
Oh, sorry. I
think we finished this section. Now it's your turn to talk.
Sorry. Okay, team. I'm moving between laptops here. Okay, so I'm going to take us through the Greater Death Dragon. So there's no need for lore. Pepperina has covered that already, but I will go through the stat block and we'll see some differences. Greater Death Dragon, huge undead at this point, still typically chaotic evil. With its natural armor, it gets an armor class of 16. Hit points are beefed up, but not by a lot. If I'm honest, 230 is the average, or 20 d12 plus 100. 2 standard speeds, walking speed of 40 feet, and then fly speed of 80 feet. Takes up to a challenge rating of 14. Strength is still by far the highest stat at 23, and then constitution after that. Dexterity very average. Intelligence goes up to 11, so I mean, nothing great. Wisdom a little bit higher at 14, and charisma still average as well. Saving throws are dex and wisdom. Damage resistances are piercing, then immunities and necrotic and poison, then same condition immunities of exhausted and poisoned as well. Blind sight for 60 feet, dark vision for 120 feet, common and draconic as the standard languages. But now we get legendary resistances. We get 3 per day. So if the dragon fails a saving throw, it can succeed instead. Actions, it gets a multi-attack, 1 bite attack, and 2 claw attacks. That's pretty standard. Then the cataclysmic breath that recharges on the 5 and the 6. The DC goes up to 18 for this one. It's 10d8 necrotic damage, or 45 as an average. And then additionally, to remind you, any medium or smaller humanoid killed by the breath's damage, as well as every corpse of such a creature within the cone, becomes a zombie. And the zombie acts on the dragon's initiative, but immediately after the dragon's turn. Absent any other command, the zombie tries to kill any non-undead creatures it encounters. The term non-undead seems like too many negatives for me.
It's too many negatives.
Alive.
Any living creatures.
Yeah.
Undead. No.
Scrolling down here, and then into the legendary
Pre-undead.
Pre-undead. I like it.
Into the legendary actions then. So it gets 3 legendary actions. You can do a claw attack with 1, or it can do cataclysmic rush. This is 2 actions. This is where the dragon moves up to half its flying speed without provoking opportunity attacks, carrying with it any creatures it is grappling. Amazing. And during this move, if it enters the space of a medium or smaller creature, that creature takes 4d8 necrotic damage. And a creature can take this damage only once per turn. I love that legendary action. You can cause a lot of extra damage there with that one. You can move some people around, and you can drop them as well, I guess, if you want to do that too, if you're holding grappled creatures, up to 2 of them. And that's the stat block for the Greater Death Dragon.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. So let's roll again, see if we have any differences on how we'd play these guys.
3.
18.
16.
All right. I think role playing, there are some big things that change how you would role play a greater versus a lesser. First of all, they can talk now. The lesser ones cannot. Also, they do, like in the lore, it says that the more powerful they were, they can hold on to who they were better in life and like sort of fight that hatred. So you would have more of an opportunity to talk to them versus the lesser that are just going to come in and eat you. So I would definitely like play with that. I would give your players some sort of quest where they know what this dragon was, or they think they're going to find a live dragon and know, like, have information on what made that dragon tick, and then they find it as a death dragon. Like something has already happened that turned it into this, and them trying to like work with that knowledge that they know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough with these ones. I think role playing, I think now that we have language and a higher intelligence, it doesn't need to be as rage fueled. Maybe we can influence the dragon a little bit. I don't think you're going to take it away from its greater goal of just, what was the greater goal? Just hatred and destruction. Classic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Okay. So you may be able to redirect that or influence it to take that rage elsewhere. I don't think you're going to take it away from its goal with a, 2 successful persuasion rolls. But I mean, there's now when you're role playing, you're going to be able to influence it a little bit more. But I think things for DMs to remember is just this dragon is not going to forget its overarching goal, but just give the players an opportunity where round by round they may be able to influence its decisions or take its attention elsewhere a little bit more, because it has a higher intelligence at this point and it does know language.
Okay. Yeah, I would say the biggest difference is, I guess, exactly what you just said, Terry, is that with the lesser ones, their only goal is rage. They were literally just too angry to die. Whereas these ones, it could be, I can't die yet. I have something I need to do. So while they might still embody most of what they were in life or the kind of dragons they were, they are just a little bit more emotionally fragile. So they can get set off quicker. They're more impulsive. They don't have that kind of natural dragon. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? Patience. Because I kind of imagine dragons to be patient creatures. When they plan something, they'll think about it for a while before they go out and do this. But this is, no, I have to go out and do it now. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm not ready or if I don't have a plan in place. I am doing it. So you either come with me or, don't. But these ones, you can, I don't know. Yeah, you can, there's just a little more to them. And they actually have a goal as opposed to being just mad.
Yeah. All right. Exploration. Do we think they would keep their layers when they turn into death dragons? Because if it's a greater one, it's a well-established dragon. It's very powerful. It has many layers at this point. Would it, I would think about if it would keep that, if it would still care about its horde, or if its horde now is just the zombies that it creates and the death that it causes along the way. Would their layers just become a very twisted version of what they once were?
I think so. Was that your answer? Sorry, we have to go.
Yeah, I mean, I would if it's a black dragon too, though. How much more twisted can that layer get?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, compared to a black dragon are very sadistic, but they're also very calculated. But they are the most pure evil of dragons, so they say. So maybe a more exaggerated version of that, but with maybe a little bit more emotion to it. Maybe if we're going to go with the rage thing, for example, not as calculated as a black dragon would be. But I think, they would keep their layers. Seem to remember in Fizzbands, I think their size is also dependent on the size of their horde as well. So maybe they do need to keep their horde. Maybe they would
how many layers they have.
Exactly, right? So I think we would keep that. And then I think it would just be a more twisted version of, when I think regional effects, the exploration for this dragon of this size is you're going to feel this from miles out now. But maybe it's not what you're expecting. It is a more twisted version. So you could take something let me think something like a blue dragon, right? Where it's supposed to be desert and stuff, where you may expect to find the bones of some creatures that have died previously. I think I would exaggerate that a lot, so everything would start to look like the elephant graveyard of the Lion King. But that would kind of fit that thematically, where it kind of makes sense for a blue dragon, but it also is unusual, and so you have the exploration kind of build up as the party gets closer. So yeah, I would do a more
Yeah.
twisted version of what it was in life.
I just sort of had the image of like in Beauty and the Beast and the prince's castle of like when he was a prince, it being this like gorgeous, like huge castle, and then when he
Mhm.
turned into the beast, it becoming dark and him like everything was damaged and like the painting being clawed through and that kind of thing. Like I think it would sort of twist like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, first of all, I just want to go back a bit. I really want a shirt now that says the real treasure is the undead we made along the way, with a picture of a necromancer on it. That would be great. But also, yeah, I think it does need the horde. I like the idea that it's, for lack of a better word, humanity. It's tied to the fact that it still has the horde. Like it's the last connection that it has to who it was before it died. So it kind of needs that to remember, and that's what separates maybe a lesser death dragon from a greater one, is that without the horde, it is now just the rage. Whereas if it has the horde, or if it has something sentimental, like hugely important to it when it was alive, then that way it can retain a piece of itself. So maybe if you took away part of that horde, it would send that dragon over the edge.
Yeah, like it. All right, so combat. Is there anything we would change with combat going from lesser to greater? I think we would still be relying quite a lot on the cataclysmic breath, which is now a 60-foot cone, so they can make a lot more zombies. Depending on how murder hobo-y your party was before it showed up. I do really like the cataclysmic rush as an addition. I think it flying through just a crowd of people and them all just taking that 1d8 necrotic damage is a good use, because it doesn't take opportunity attacks with that, so it can fly by as many people as it wants, and not take a hit for it, but be giving hits, because there's not even like a saving throw or anything to that. They just take that damage. So I would be using that a lot, I think, given the opportunity. It would be flying through the biggest crowd it could find.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, when I hear can move without opportunity attacks, that's just encouraging movement from a tactical perspective. So I think I'm going to open up with that big breath weapon, and then I'll probably cataclysmic rush right away. Yeah, here's what I'm going to do. With this dragon, I'm coming out heavy. Like I'm burning all of those legendary resistances as well. Like you're going to try and take somebody out right away and put the party on the back foot where they start panicking. Everybody's friends in D&D until shit starts going wrong. And then people start unearthing things from months ago and everything. They get real snappy. And the way you do that is you panic them. So come out the gate hot. Let's go. Big breath weapon right away. Cataclysmic rush right away. Because there's no attacks of opportunity, you can just move through people and then finish off with your dragon still right in the middle of everybody. So AoE spells have become more challenging. Probably round 2, if you don't get your breath weapon back, I'm going to start to grapple people right away, because then that's a problem for AoE. And then I can just cataclysmic rush again, just keep moving through them and just keep moving that dragon around the board so that they can't settle into their plan. When you can get the players so that they can't settle into their master plan, they start to panic as well. So take someone out early, keep moving, keep punishing them every time they try and do a spell, like an AoE spell, and then don't let them get anything off in round 1. Burn those legendary resistances, because even though for another dragon you might not do that, for this dragon, if you can get ahead of them, they'll go into that death spiral pretty quick. That's me, folks.
All right.
Yeah. And if you take them down, like I said at the beginning, there's no death saves here. They're just dead.
Oh, my new favorite thing is, as your dragon is getting low on hit points as well, just get that dragon right above them. Just so that he's right above them when he dies, because they're massive, right? That's I like to do that now as well.
One final fuck you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Yeah, I think you guys covered it pretty well. The only thing I really have to mention is Cataclysmic Rush. I like it as an ability. I don't think it's enough. Like 1d8 necrotic damage just doesn't feel, I don't know,
It's
enough.
good if they're down, right? If they're making death saves and there's 2 of them down or even 1 of them down, that's an easy.
Oh, yeah, the last final hit kind of thing.
Yeah.
But still, I like if it maybe knocked people prone, like if you had like a strength saving throw or a dex saving throw to knock someone prone, or maybe it pushes them away like up to 10 or 15 feet. I think it would also be really good, but like 1d8 necrotic damage feels really low, especially for 2 actions. I would just add a little more to that. Either beef up the damage or have it do something else, like knock them prone or push them away. Because that also feels more rushy, right? Like you have a massive creature charging at you and it's dealing only 1d8 necrotic damage, doesn't feel enough.
Yeah, and I think like if you consider how massive their wings are and them flying right by you, like you're gonna have blowback from the wind from their wings, pushing down. Like there's going to be an effect there. You're not just standing and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I definitely think you could add something like that.
Exactly. Or even like blow up dust so it creates an obscured area. So now you're fighting this dragon that's kind of hiding from you within this like dust cloud. That would also be pretty fucking scary.
Especially, if you were using like a blue dragon that's in the desert and it's just sand everywhere.
And I like stuff like that because everybody's got dark vision, which even if the human fighter doesn't, DM forgets on round 2 anyway. So when it's dust, it's a different scenario. You can't escape that.
Yeah. All right. So any other thoughts on the death dragons before we move on to probably the scariest dragon I've ever seen?
Death dragons, I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're cool. I like them.
All right. So Kyle, what do you got for us?
I have the Spider Dragon from Vecna, Eve of Ruin. So these bad boys can be found in the deepest regions of the Underdark. And even though worshippers of Lolth claim them to be a gift from the Spider Queen, they are not created by her or the Abyss. Instead, spider dragons are what happens when a black dragon wormling eats too many spiders and has their physiology warped as a result, leading to a loss of their wings and instead gaining a couple extra legs and eyes in the process. Even still, that they're not created by Lolth, Lolth's faithful may employ them as guards or treat them as venerated guests, where they often wear out their welcome by consuming large amounts of their host's resources before moving on. Now, spider dragons aren't as smart or as powerful as their full dragon kin, and have no interest in really building layers. So instead, they weave powerful webs to catch an abundance of prey in an area before getting bored and moving on to new hunting grounds. In terms of stat blocks, these are huge monstrosities instead of dragons that are typically chaotic evil and have a CR of 11. They have an AC of 17, an average of 152 hit points, and 50 feet of walking speed and 60 feet of climbing. They have pretty beefy stats everywhere, except for intelligence, which is only a 7, while everything else is between a 14, which is their wisdom, and a 21 for their strength. For saving throws, they get a +9 to strength and a +8 to dex, a +8 to intimidation, and a +6 to perception for skills. They are resistant to poison and psychic damage with 90 feet of dark vision and can speak abyssal, draconic, and undercommon. For their traits, they have magic resistance, meaning they have advantage on saving throws against spells and magical effects. Spider climb, so they can climb difficult surfaces, including hanging upside down without having to make a skill check. And web walker, meaning they can ignore movement restrictions caused by webs. For attacks, they get a multi-attack where they can make 2 claw attacks and 1 bite. The bite is a +9 to hit and deals 1d10 +5 piercing damage and 2d12 poison. While the claw is also a +9 to hit, this time dealing 2d6 +5 slashing damage. So, of course, no dragon is complete without their breath weapon. This time, though, it is called Spiderling Breath, which is where they essentially exhale a 30-foot cone of venomous spiders at someone. So they've just got like a mouth full of spiders at all times.
Yeah.
It makes me think of The Simpsons, where he's like, what are you going to do? Have dogs with bees in their mouths? So when they bark, they shoot bees at you?
Yeah.
But these things are insanely powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
We remember. It's
Okay. All right. So you have to make a DC 15 dex saving throw or take 60-10 piercing damage and 60-10 poison damage on a fail and half as much on a success. And this ability recharges on a 5 or a 6. And now for their final ability, they get a bonus action ability called Stifling Webs. This also recharges on a 5 or a 6 and shoots another 30-foot cone, but this time of sticky webbing that lasts for 1 minute. And any creature who enters the area for the first time or starts its turn there must make a DC 15 dex saving throw or have the restrained condition. Creatures can free themselves or another creature with successful DC 15 strength check, as well as a 5-foot cube of the webbing is also destroyed if it takes 10 acid, fire, or slashing damage in a single turn. And that is the spider dragon.
Awesome. I hate it.
Not a fan of spiders?
No, not generally. All right. So let's roll again for more questions. I got a 3.
I also
18.
got a 3.
All right. Roll off to see who goes second with the 3s.
15.
18.
Oh, son of a bitch. I think I went last for everything.
All right. Role playing. Terry, how would you role play one of these?
Think I'm going to lean into the spider characteristics with this. Intelligence is lower, right? But wisdom and intelligence are high enough to know what it's doing. It'll know how it attacks. I'm probably going to have this creature's be not very reactive to anything at all, not talk a lot, and probably just, you know how spiders just sit in the corner of the room and they don't move, and you're like, what is this fucker thinking? Like, he can move faster than me. He knows I'm there. It doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't respond to it. Like, even when you get your finger close to it, it still doesn't move. I would have it like that, where it's just not moving, not responding. Very, very hard to read, especially with a high charisma as well. Actually, that's interesting. Very difficult to read, and then just quietly make your plan as the DM. Even if you understand what's being said, I think good role play with this is not doing a whole lot at all, being difficult to read. Don't start monologuing. It doesn't fit the creature.
And then as soon as the party turns its back, the spider dragon disappears and you don't know where it went.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or do something.
I don't like it.
As soon as a party member turns their back. And you can cash them out with that stuff as well, because when they get talking, all you got to do is get the marching order and then whatever. And then they just need to say something like, oh, I give this thing to whatever. And then well, you're at the front, they're at the back, so you just turned around. Like, it's the way you can catch them with stuff like that if you're clever with it. But I like that.
Yeah. Because, like, I think it's so just fucked up and scary that you don't have to do a lot of role playing because your party's just going to see it and go, nope.
Yeah.
There is something that bothers me about these, and that it is a black dragon wormling in the Underdark. I think a sapphire makes more sense because they are in the Underdark and they do eat spiders, and that's their whole thing. So I think it should have been a sapphire.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Not as scary that way, though.
Yeah, black dragons are just inherently scarier, but just that part of the lore didn't sit right with me. And black dragons are my favorite. Don't get me wrong. I love to see a black dragon show up anywhere. But yeah, I think more on role playing it would be an interesting mix of that sadisticness of the black dragon and the, like, how spiders react to things, and trying to find that sort of balance in there, because it is both. To where it would, like, I think it would wait it out, and then it would be horrible after, like, when it finally makes its move, it is not going to be good at all.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of it stalking the party for a while. Like, they'll constantly see signs of it. Like, they'll see eyes shining in the dark and then hear skittering away, and it's just biding its time. So it waits until night and then just shoots its webbing down on the whole party, or shoots its spider breath. Which, honestly, the spider breath thing still, it's a cool color, but it's just seems ridiculous. Like, what does it just have a mouth full of spiders at all times?
Maybe it just, like, holds its babies in its mouth or something, and just It's like, do you ever play Diablo when you, like, kill a spider and then more spiders come out of it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, I probably would have. I think I would have a swarm of spiders, at least 2 or 3 swarms of spiders come out of this after you kill it.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
All right, exploration with these. I mean, you're gonna see more webs and you're gonna see more spiders, right? I just realized I'm going second, though, so I stole that from Terry. So go ahead.
I mean, you're gonna see webs
first.
and spiders. I don't want to hit this thing on the nose, but you are. But maybe you're still gonna see traces of what you would expect from the creature that this from the wormling creature that it originally was. Maybe there will be some acid pools or something if it's a black dragon. So I think I would combine the spider draconic traces so that it is confusing, because especially if you're looking for one or the other, and the party is familiar with both creature types, it might be confusing. I think, you know what I'm going to do though is I like this, the stifling webs here, this 30-foot cube that it takes up. I think I would have this throughout the lair. It's because you kind of think you put it out on a battle map, everybody within that square, even though it's a cube, is unable to move. But if you're going through tunnels, you can have 30-foot stretches now that are completely covered in this in multiple places. So I like that. It means you'll be, and then what comes with it is restrained if you fail your dexterity save. Is there any type of vision problems or anything? I don't know. I think I would still spread that around though. I would have that spread out. So you should always feel vulnerable, always be on the back foot. The dragon spider should always be able to feel you somewhere. I think it's not realistic to make it all the way to the main chamber where they're always hanging out. I think I would have the stifling webs dotted around the lair.
Yeah.
What I kind of like about it.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say with the stifling webs, I think because it specifies a 5-foot cube of web is destroyed if it takes 10 damage in a round, is fire doesn't work the same as it would on other webbing. Like it doesn't spread as much, right? Because you know how like normally a party runs into a bunch of webs, they're like, oh, firebolt, and then just burn it all away. Yeah, kind of thing. I don't think it would have the same effect with this.
Yeah.
That's fair. So I was thinking like, because these are huge when it's at this point, but the lore starts with it as a wormling. What if you saw it as a young or an adult? Like, when do the wings go away? When does it start to grow the extra legs? At what point are you seeing that transformation? If you run into it earlier, like what more horrific version of this
out? I don't think you should. So my party, like all parties, collect creatures that they shouldn't collect.
Yeah.
And they
like as pets or pieces.
As pets, right? So like very early on in the campaign, one of them, there was a bunch of black dragon eggs. They were all destroyed. And then they found one, and then there was just like the smallest little black dragon wormling, and they were like, we're going to keep him and name him Gregory, which is the fucking name that every stupid creature gets ever. So I was like, sure. But I would have this creature has already eaten too many spiders or whatever the conditions were for transformation, and then have it transform while it's with the party over a period of time, and then see how long they hold on to it for before it becomes a problem, because it's going to become a problem, but they want to keep their little pet now, their little sidekick. So I would do it in front of them over time.
Oh, I would make it that it's the party's reason it's eaten too many spiders. Like one of them fails some sort of history check and is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that these dragons eat spiders. And so the party just starts feeding it spiders.
Yeah, the fucking best.
So they're the reason that this happened.
Oh, I love it when I can blame them for things.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Brilliant.
Going along that vein too, like it does say that, you know, sometimes they will use their the fact that people think it was created by Lolth to overstay its welcome places, and it'll just eat people out of house and home. So your party is traveling somewhere where they have to bring rations, right? And then they find out on the first day that this dragon snuck into their rations while they were all sleeping and then ate everything. So now the party has no food and they're in the middle of nowhere. What are they going to do with this dragon now? Are they going to kill it? Are they going to keep it still? Can it re-earn their trust?
Yeah.
Or are they going to have to kill Gregory?
They never would.
They'd die before they killed Gregory.
Yeah.
That sounds like a challenge, to be honest.
That's your whole campaign now.
Yeah.
All right. Combat. What are we?
Combat. This is me, right?
Yeah.
Combat. I'm opening up with this bonus action, stifling webs. Let's get that laid out right away. 30-foot cube. Let's get most of them early, stuck in that if we can. And then main action right away is the spiraling breath. Why? Because that's a dexterity save. And if they're restrained from the stifling breath, they have disadvantage on that. So I can try and get as much damage done right away as I can. Got a climbing speed.
I was going to say you can do them on the same turn too, because the stifling web is a bonus action.
It's a bonus.
Same turn. That's right. Open up with the stifling webs. Open up with the bonus action, then the main action. And then this thing has a climbing speed, right? Where's the speeds?
Yeah, 60.
60
feet. Okay, so I'm doing this from distance. I'm doing it higher in the cavern, beyond the point of their dark vision, because the spider's dark vision goes for 90 feet. great.
Mhm.
So get on the edge of theirs and then fire these webs and make sure that you're in darkness and they can't see you. And then with is there legendary resistances? I forget. No, but at least you're going to be out of sight. They're going to be restrained, which means they can't move, which means they can't change their position. And they're already on the back foot from that breath weapon. You never know. You might get lucky. You might get another one of those breath weapons back in the next round. But that's how I'm opening up round 1.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the move. Like that's with it being a bonus action and then your breath weapon right after. Like that's the move. I don't know what else you would do that would be better than that. And then if your party gets out of that webbing, like the entire area is just going to be hard to move in because there's going to be webbing everywhere, right? Like it's where this thing lives. There's going to be webbing. So the entire battle map is difficult terrain. Your party's speed is cut in half pretty much always. And this thing has 50 feet walking and 60 climbing. Like it's going to get to you no matter what. Yeah. You're not going to outrun it.
Yeah. I agree. I don't really have anything to add.
I know this one has one of those such obvious, like, why would you do anything other than than that?
Yeah. The combat isn't crazy or like isn't going to be very varied, but it does. It's got a cool flavor to it.
Just keep them stressed, keep them in that, keep them restrained in that web, keep the weapon on them, stay above them. And then, like I say, when they die, now you have a huge dragon falling on top of them. It's going to get someone, and they're going to be restrained, maybe, hopefully. It'll be stressful. Not a whole lot of movement for the party, but they're going to have to get creative with it.
I think just the point with these is they're just scary. Your party's just going to see them and just not want to. And I think and then it's going to stick them to the wall and they're going to have no choice.
Right. Here's my one thing that I don't like about them. Am I allowed to say this now? Do I have to save this any other thoughts section? Because I won't have any additional thoughts. I would like a creature like this that is leaning more towards the spider side. This is leaning towards the dragon side. This is a spider-looking dragon. I want a dragon-looking spider.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Can you explain that a little bit?
This is a dragon. Look at it. Looks like a dragon, right?
Yeah.
That has spider-like traits.
Yeah.
I want a spider. Think of a spider that has dragon-like traits.
Okay.
So it won't have a long neck, won't have none of that. It'll look like a spider with maybe some scales or some dragon-like teeth coming out, but will be very much the shape of a spider. This looks very much the shape of a dragon with some extra.
So it'd be more like dragon turtle, where it looks more turtle than dragon.
Yes.
So it would look more spider than dragon. So it'd be like a spider with a breath weapon.
Right. Now, if we're going off the wording of dragon turtle compared to spider dragon, maybe I need dragon spider.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So it'd be a spider that ate a dragon. All right. Any other thoughts other than Terry's on the spider dragons?
No.
No, they're just. I just don't want to see one, and they should be sapphire. I don't want to see one. They should be sapphire. All right. Well, before we finish this episode off, let's cut to a quick info break.
If you've been inspired by the conversation in this episode, please feel free to reach out and share your creativity and ideas with us and the rest of the community. You can reach us on Facebook and Instagram or on our subreddit r/it'samimic. Also, if you're feeling particularly generous, please follow and subscribe and leave us positive reviews, likes, and comments. Engagements like that help us pop up on search engines and keep this show running.
So, any final thoughts or inspirations? I guess we can just skip Terry.
Yeah. Oh, what if a spider dragon became a death dragon?
I mean, why not?
Why not? That would be horrible.
This is possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would piss off a spider dragon enough to make it come back from the dead?
What pisses off spiders?
Fire?
I imagine.
Yeah.
Birds?
Right.
Birds? Spiders don't like birds?
I imagine birds eat spiders.
Maybe. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, that's all for this part of our conversation on death dragons and spider dragons in D&D 5th edition. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, comment, and review to help push our engagement. And don't forget to subscribe to find future inspirations for your campaigns.
If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, it'samimic.com, as well as a Patreon. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Please check the show notes for this episode to see links, time codes, and credits, and don't forget to reach out and share your own inspirations.
Beauty.
Oh, you know what would piss off a spider dragon? A phoenix, because it's both a bird and fire.
Oh.
I mean, there you go. That's
Yeah.
fair. I don't put enough phoenixes in. What's the plural of phoenix?
Phoenixes?
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 Phoenixes, I guess. What is that internet? Are we rolling? Do we roll for it? I forget.
I don't know.
Oh shit.
We're like almost on episode 300 and still we're like, what do we do? What's
Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're supposed to and we don't. Sometimes we're not supposed to and we do.
See you next Tuesday.